Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us for our volunteer webinar this evening with Bounty and Soul. My name is Amanda. I'm going to be the host this evening. I know many of you were expecting Tia. Unfortunately, due to some unforeseen circumstances, she's not able to join us this evening. But I am very happy to be hosting this wonderful webinar and this awesome panel that is going to talk to you about all of the volunteer opportunities that Bounty and Soul has going this year, and all the new ways that you can get involved, and some exciting news that we've got. So I'm going to give just a few more minutes for all of our participants to roll in. Just as we get started, a few things. For any of you that would like to pose a question to any of the panelists, please feel free to pose those in the Q&A section you can find at the bottom of your screen. Or you can also press the chat button, and that will open a chat section on the right of your screen. And you can pose those questions to any specific panelist or to the whole group, and we will get to them as we see fit. And if for whatever reason we are not able to get all of your questions answered, we will direct you to who the proper person would be to contact in order to get that question answered. So. All right, we've got about 38 participants. I know we've got a lot signed up this evening, but we're going to go ahead and get started because we decided to keep this webinar to 30 minutes. If for any reason you're not able to stay for the whole time, don't worry, you'll still be able to watch it if you want to share this with any of your friends that aren't able to attend this evening. We will be sharing this recorded webinar on our website, and you will get a link for that when this is over. So to go ahead and get started, we've got 4 amazing panelists who all have a different role with Bounty and Soul, a different angle to speak about. So let's go ahead and get started and introduce everybody that we've got this evening. Let's go ahead and start with you, Carla. I'd like everyone to just introduce yourself, let the attendees know what your role is with Bounty and Soul, how you got involved with Bounty and Soul, and maybe just a little special something that maybe would be interesting for our viewers to know about you. So Carla, you want to go ahead and get us started?
Sure, absolutely. Hey, thank you everyone for tuning in. My name is Carla Gardner. I'm the Director of Community Engagement. And I have been with Bounty and Soul now for 5 years and some change. I began as a volunteer right after we got our very first truck and we're debuting our first mobile markets. And so I have spent time in almost every role that exists in our volunteer world. So I feel like I have that unique experience in being able to speak to the many working parts of this organization. I'm really excited to connect with you all and share some wonderful resources, and yeah, I'll let Adam take it from here.
Thanks, Carla. My name is Adam Kelly. I've also had an opportunity to jump into many of the roles that Carla has definitely experienced throughout her time here, and a big primary part of what I was able to do was work with volunteers specifically. Now I settle deeply into a food distributor coordinator, as a lot of my time is being spent working with volunteers to make the food viable and ultimately pretty to go into these beautiful boxes that we are curating for the community currently due to the COVID pandemic. And I've been with Bounty and Soul about 2.5, almost 3 years. Likewise with Carla, started as a volunteer. I think that's one of the most special things that a lot of the staff can relate to is, really catching that bug that Bounty and Soul will really give to the community participants and volunteers, so much to the point where you feel like you're at home and this is it. I've said that a lot, that this is it for me. and I believe I have found my home. So thank you, Carla, for setting it off. And I know there's more members of the team and of our large family to be introduced.
Well, wonderful. We're glad that you found your home here with us. We are so glad that you're with us. We certainly could not do it without Adam. That is for sure. So, and next we have Annette. Annette, if you could just introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you.
Okay, thank you for asking me to come and be part of this tonight. My name is Annette McCrae, and I've been volunteering with Bounty and Soul for about 2 years now. I moved from the West Coast, and when I was there, I volunteered at a local food bank, and there were some similarities to Bounty and Soul, but not. I'll get into it, what the differences were. But when I came here, I was looking for a similar type thing, because I really believe in volunteerism and giving back to the community. And I started looking around and I couldn't find anything. And I asked some people at work and they referred me to Bounty and Soul. And the very first person I met was Alice, and she directed me to Adam. And that very first night I started volunteering. And just like Adam said, I feel like this is a home now. I just absolutely love everybody that I've met, and all of the participants or the people who come through, and everything. Now, you know, there's been a real nice relationship develop and everything. So I've worked in a number of different capacities, like helping set up the markets handing out the local produce, and the behind the scenes bagging things, and fixing flowers and getting those ready and to take to the market. I mean, I'm doing a cooking video every single week, and my experience has just grown since I've been there.
Lovely. Well, we are glad to have you as well, Annette. We appreciate you taking the time to talk to our audience this evening, and we really appreciate and thank you for all the time that you give us in making our work and mission possible. So thank you. And then last but not least, we've got Shuli Archer. Shuli.
Hey, y'all. Good to see you. It's funny, I can only see the panelists. I can't see the participants. I did look at the list and I'm excited at the names. So hi, everybody. I work at the Center for Community Engagement at Warren Wilson College. And that's actually how my story with Bounty and Soul began. I started at Warren Wilson in 2012, and a couple of years after that was when Bounty and Soul was born. I co-direct a student leadership program, and some of our student leaders started to partner with Bounty and Soul in a variety of ways. And then over the time I've been at Warren Wilson, my position changed. And so I then got the opportunity to connect Warren Wilson students through their classes, connecting faculty to Bounty and Soul, and then also students independently. And then my story with Bounty and Soul began pretty much around when COVID hit, and I was feeling incredibly isolated. And we also as a family were in need of food support. And so I jumped in and started volunteering on a weekly basis. And it's had a really significant impact on me personally, not just professionally, but personally. So I'm happy to be here and happy to see some of my volunteer friends in the participant list, and also some Warren Wilson folks. Thanks for having me tonight.
It does seem that so many of our volunteers and the staff that Bounty and Soul really kind of has touched them in many different ways and been a part of their lives in more than just one capacity. So I'm really excited to have you on this call this evening, Shuli. So to go ahead and speak about the exciting things that we have going on this year, and I know why most of you on this call are attending this webinar, are to find out how you can get involved with Bounty and Soul this year. So I'm going to turn the table over to Carla a little bit to kind of speak about some special ways that people can get involved, how to get connected with Bounty and Soul. But to kick it off, I am going to share with you our newly, as of today, Get Involved page on Bounty and Soul's website. So this is our new volunteer page, which I know Carla is probably more excited about than anybody to share this with you. So go ahead and share this, and if you can, let me pull this up. I'll have Carla kind of speak through what we're all looking at. Okay. Let's see here. Okay. And here we are.
All right. Dun, dun, dun. So it's miraculous we've made it this far without this section of our website, and it just feels like it's so fitting that we get to debut it today with all of you. But this is our Get Involved page. You can find it if you go to the Bounty and Soul homepage. There's a Get Involved button that will now prompt you to this page where there are volunteer testimonials featured. There's kind of a snapshot of different types of opportunities. I really like to think that there's something for everyone here at Bounty and Soul, whether that be on-site supporting these drive-through markets and behind the scenes, helping in a remote capacity with a number of projects. Down there at the bottom, there's a sweet testimonial about someone who was on the receiving end of one of the handwritten love notes that we have volunteers creating each week. And these resources are created in both English and Spanish. I think it's important to note that we really want to make all of our education and resources accessible to native Spanish speakers and others. So this is kind of like your one-stop shop for where to get started. It prompts you to fill out this lovely web form if this is your first time volunteering, where you can fill out you know, your preferred dates and times for volunteering, if you have any special limitations or restrictions, if there are specific areas you feel passionate about helping out. We do have a gardening and harvest specific newsletter that goes out each week. So if you filled out this form a while back and maybe didn't check that box because it wasn't there yet, go ahead, fill it out again, or shoot me an email. I know that we will be gearing up for lots of beautiful gardens. We actually just debuted our very first Bounty and Soul garden in Swannanoa. We broke ground last week, so there are going to be a lot of really awesome opportunities to help out there. And I know that Annette will be speaking to some of the health and wellness and virtual resources and classes that are being created now, but there's also a Rooted in Health newsletter that goes out for those who are excited to tune in for those resources or be a part of that curriculum and education. So definitely take a chance to hop on here. We will be continuing to add more resources. You'll also be able to receive our volunteer newsletter, which goes out each month. That's where that web form, filling that out, goes to your benefit, so that you kind of get a snapshot of what's going on each month there. And you can always reach out to me directly, but yeah.
Well, thanks for sharing that, Carla. And I know we're all very, very excited about this new page on the website. So again, that was bountyandsoul.org. /get involved. I think it's get-involved, but if you go to our main homepage, click on that Get Involved button, and you'll find all the information that you need there. And if you have any specific questions, again, please feel free to reach out to Carla. I know most of the volunteers know Carla pretty well, and know that she's the point person for volunteering, and she'll get back to you promptly, and will be a joyous person for you to speak with, and she'll plug you in exactly where you need to be and where we can utilize you the best. We did have one specific question, Carla. Is there an age limit? Or an age requirement, rather?
Really great question. Yeah, I know I did say we're accepting of all ages and abilities. We have put a couple more age restrictive guidelines in just in light of COVID, but we you know, are safely welcoming youth back into the mix. And so it's definitely a conversation I'd love to have and explore and see what feels like the right fit. Something that was really exciting and unique to our markets the past few weeks is we have a mom and child duo that are actually helping at our kids station, which is a part of the drive-through line. And so they were sharing resources like diapers and nutrition kits. We were giving out cutting boards and kid-friendly knives and recipes. And so it was really exciting to see, you know, kids helping kids, and that's what we're about. And we certainly want to build people of all ages into our framework. So the love notes are also another really awesome way to help out, and that is a project that you can tackle from home, and people drop them off all the time, either by mail or they'll bring them to the markets. But I think that creative touch and having that creative outlet is also something that's fun for all ages.
Perfect. Well, thanks for answering that, Carla. And I think for those of you that pose that question, and anybody that's wondering for any type of restriction, any type of restriction you think you might have, you know, just reach out to Carla. There is definitely so many ways that you can get involved. Bounty and Soul is all about everyone at the table. We will find a way to get you involved and find a place that's perfect for you and a place that's perfect for us. So don't ever hesitate to contact us. We just want to connect with you. So, and now let's move on quickly to Adam, if you wouldn't mind, Adam, chiming in for just a minute. For those of you that have volunteered, and for those of you that are thinking of volunteering, you will definitely get to know Adam. Adam really turns the wheels of our markets and everything that we do. And we just wanted to talk to you a little bit, Adam, about, you know, just how does the food get to the market? We get this question all the time. Who are our partners, and kind of what is that, those nuts and bolts of how we get from, you know, the food to the market and into the hands of our participants? I know that's a loaded question, but I'm going to give you just a few minutes to dive into that, Adam.
I'm going to dissect that for just a few minutes, I promise. But you know, to speak to something you said and to something Carla said, you know, it's interesting. You know, I'd like to think that everyone that volunteers gets to cross a path with myself, and most of the time that is the case. But like y'all are both emphasizing, there's so many aspects and so many opportunities to volunteer. A lot of things are happening behind the scenes, and I confidently know that every volunteer that steps into Bounty and Soul has to cross through Carla first, and I think that is just a noted thing that I've experienced throughout my time, and something really powerful about Carla being a specific and an amazing face for Bounty and Soul, specifically on a volunteer front. But to answer your question and to dive deep into where food is coming from, I ultimately start off and tell people food comes from every direction. It's coming from gardens, community gardens, intentional farms, retailers, food distributors, and specifically Manna Food Bank. It's important to definitely put that energy and weight onto Manna Food Bank, as they have provided a lot of abundance for Bounty and Soul throughout the last few years, and specifically recently during the pandemic. I will admit I had this conversation. I just left a volunteer shift, and I was having this conversation with a new volunteer just a moment ago, asking me exactly that same question, where this food's coming from, as we're opening up boxes of oranges and apples and bananas and then an abundance of oats and all of these wonderful things that are able to come out of some of these retail stores. Bounty and Soul is really strong and intentional with our relationships that we've developed. And I say that to be confident that we've intentionally created relationships with Whole Foods, Earth Fare, Trader Joe's. That is a profound difference as opposed to a lot of food banks that exist under a Walmart umbrella or even something from Publix. I think it's important to showcase that, as it allows us to be really intentional with organic and clean produce and vegetables that are able to come to our market, which is a huge separation, I believe, from a lot of other basic food banks, perhaps. So, you know, we stretch much further than retail stores, as we have an opportunity to create relationships with larger distributors that are providing food for the incredible amount of delicious restaurants all throughout the Asheville area. And as much as those restaurants are utilizing that food, there is just as much waste there as there is from a retail perspective. And so Bounty and Soul has been able to really establish some strong relationships with these community members and partners to create a larger, I want to say, family at Bounty and Soul. You know, the family doesn't stop at our staff. It doesn't stop at volunteers. It goes much further into the participants and into every aspect and how people touch and help drive Bounty and Soul. At times, you know, I hear so much weight put on certain individuals in the organization, and I'll say it again as much as I have. You know, it's not myself that moves Bounty and Soul. It is the team. It is all aspects of the team. You know, without Mountain Food Products as a distributor for us, providing an abundance of spinach that we can put at the market, Bounty and Soul is not going to exist the way that it does. Without Whole Foods taking the time to pull that product off and make it available for us, Bounty and Soul won't exist. And without Manna Food Bank providing the effort that they do, I truly don't believe Bounty and Soul would be able to exist. I will, you know, lightly, if I have a few moments, you know, really just briefly touch on the fact that an overwhelming amount of our food is coming from fresh local resources like community gardens here in Black Mountain, Dr. John Wilson, Swananoa Community Garden, Root Cause Garden out in Fairview. But it doesn't stop at community gardens. It goes much further than that, where we have an opportunity to work with farmers that are attending River Arts District Farmers Market, the West Asheville Farmers Market, and even going to the W&C Farmers Market to make sure that we're rescuing that product that is otherwise not going to fall into a customer, but product that the farmer nonetheless does not want to see wasted.
Awesome. Well, I thank you for really highlighting that, Adam, because I think it is important for our viewers, especially our volunteers, to know who our partners are and really about the difference, what sets Bounty and Soul apart, and that is the intention behind the quality of food that we're providing for our participants. And Adam also said a few names that you might even see in some newsletters where we do, you know, again, it's not just about Bounty and Soul. We are also working with our community partners and helping them fill volunteer spots that they need. I know that we've also put out calls for gleaning at, you know, the West Asheville Farmers Market, and so a lot of these partners, as you as a volunteer might even come into contact with. So just keep that in mind. It really is a community. It's a network. It is so much larger than any of us, and then. And for us to really carry our mission forward, we need all of those people. So the last two people that are very excited to kind of share with you their side of being with Bounty and Soul as volunteers, I want to turn the mic over to Annette. If you wouldn't mind just speaking a little bit more about what you do, what you have done as a volunteer, what you do as a volunteer, but really kind of touch on how has Bounty and Soul, your time with Bounty and Soul, impacted you, and kind of just some words that you would maybe want to share with some of those that are on this call this evening that are looking to get involved.
Okay. Thank you. And I want to continue on a little bit with what Adam was talking about how it extends beyond Manna and the local retail stores, etc. Even this summer, as I was coming into Bounty and Soul, one day a week, I would stop at a local neighbor and pick up her produce that she had grown in her own garden and bring it into Bounty and Soul. So it goes far beyond. I've known people that will bring things into Bounty and Soul and donate them out of their, you know, they have more than they need, and they bring it to Bounty and Soul. So it truly is about relationships. And in regards to what I have done, when I first started with Bounty and Soul, I would be there every week and I would help. It was before COVID, and so we were inside. I would help set up the markets, and as Adam has said, you know, make it look attractive and put put the things together and help serve the people as they came through the line and talk about the produce to them. Now, after COVID and in this new model that we have, this drive-through, I'm now out at the handing out the local produce. And it's just been so inspiring to know that people are so thankful for the food when they come through. Now, that's not the only thing I do at Bounty and Soul, but that's my highlight, I would have to say. And I just want to share a real quick note that we got just this last week when somebody came through and gave this to Trish. I forget her name, gave it to one of us. And I'm just going to read it real quick. It won't be very long. It says, "Thank you for sharing your time so that we may all find nourishment in this rediscovered food. Thank you for giving this food a second chance in our homes and hearts. You all make this such a joyful experience." So that to me is what I have started, recognizing every single person when they come through and being able to develop a relationship with them. And everybody is so thankful, and they just, that we're there, we're standing out in the elements and they thank us, and they're just overwhelmingly appreciative of it all. Usually I go and volunteer on Tuesday mornings at the office, and I help put together, like we'll sort through some produce and bunch it together, put the information that goes along with that produce on that, and then we get the flowers and we cut them and we make them, ready to go to the market. And usually I load my car up and we drive over, and I have a whole bunch of stuff in my car, and I unload it. And then I go and I stand out at the local produce, what do you call it? A kiosk?
Local produce
pop-up market.
Yeah, pop up, and hand out the food to the people and ask them if they want it, tell what they can do. Like, here's I don't know, what we had turnips the other day. Here's what you can do with the turnips, and offer suggestions to them. And it's just a joy to be there, and even if it is raining and cold.
Yes.
And then the other thing that I do is I put together a weekly YouTube. I have a YouTube channel, and I put together a YouTube video, a cooking video. And I have a lot of fun with that as well. I'm not going to tell you what this week's about, but something that we did get at the market a couple of weeks ago. And I don't know, I just I try to take products that we've distributed at the market. Like last week, for example, I made a white bean soup, and I used the spinach, those big, huge bags of spinach that was given out. I used the spinach in there. I used the tomatoes and the carrots that I gotten in the box, and I make this soup, and I cook. I have a cooking demonstration of what you can do with it. So I don't know, if months ago they were giving out huge cabbages, and I came up with a recipe, and I made this cabbage thing, out of the cabbages. So it helps me get my creative juices going. What can I do with that? How can I be creative? And yet at the same time, share the information with other people as well, of what they can do with it.
Oh, wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Annette. And again, we appreciate all the different ways that you support us. And for those that are watching, look for Annette's next cooking demo, and I'm sure you'll learn a lot.
Subscribe to me as you come through.
Yeah. And last but not least, I would love to turn the mic over to Shuli, who, again, as she mentioned, kind of has a twofold relationship with Bounty and Soul. If you could just touch a little bit about your experience as being a volunteer, and also the experiences that you hear and the impact that it makes on the students at Warren Wilson. I am aware that it's almost 7:30, but for those of you that want to keep watching, please stay with us. We're just going to go a few minutes over, and if not, that's fine. Again, we'll upload this to the website So yeah, Shirley, please share with us.
Thank you. Um, as y'all were talking, I was going back through my mind about, I've been connecting students, faculty, and staff to Bounty and Soul at Warren Wilson since Bounty and Soul started. But I was thinking about, for me, where did my time start? And Adam will remember this. It was Martin Luther King Day in 2019. And, Warren Wilson, a couple times.
I remember this.
Yeah, here we go. A couple times a year, we have days of service. So Warren Wilson students have a service requirement, and they should be engaging throughout their time. But then we also have these days to kickstart. And so I brought this group of new students to meet with Adam. We were going to sort in the house, and then all of a sudden, Adam calls me and he's like, abort, go to Trader Joe's. So we go over to Trader Joe's, and Trader Joe's had a power outage. And so we basically had to empty their fridge.
I remember that.
Yes. And at first it was like, people were like, oh, this is cool. Look at all this food. And it was just cart after cart after cart after cart. And at first, for me, what was fun became actually really nauseating to think about how much food is there, how much food is out there that goes to waste. I got home that day and I just sat in my kitchen and I couldn't talk for a few hours. Like, I just was really kind of so deeply impacted by that moment. Fast forward to 2020. My job at Warren Wilson is mostly directly engaging to students, and my connection to partners is over the computer and over the phone. So when COVID hit, we sent all the students home. And so all of a sudden, all of our partners who pretty consistently can benefit from student time didn't have that anymore. And so I reached out to Carla and Adam, who I've known for a long time. And I said, I'm going to come. Where can you use me? Because I just couldn't sit in my house anymore, and I just needed to be out. And I wanted Warren Wilson to show up, even if the students couldn't. So my role has mostly been on the parking team. I'm kind of paranoid about COVID exposure. And so Carla said, we have a socially distant role for you. And so I get to wave the flag, as I tell people, and I love it. And I put music on and I'm just doing my thing. And I know a lot of people that come through. My family comes through. We've been getting boxes from Bounty and Soul for a while. And so I've really, I've told Carla, I've kind of had a COVID, people would call it the Dr. Fauci moment. I've kind of had a midlife crisis, really questioning my course. And Bounty and Soul kind of, no offense, y'all, but you kind of started it. And Bounty and Soul really had me looking in the mirror, thinking about, what am I doing with my time? Again, I spend a lot of my time in the confines of higher education settings. And so I've started taking prerequisites. I've applied for nursing school because I've decided that I needed to change the course of my life. It's not all your fault, Carla, but it's definitely some of it's your fault. But yeah, I think for me, that family piece, I want to give a shout out to Austin and Kent and Brittany. I've really built bonds with the parking team. I've saved a few people from getting run over by cars, which I'm proud of. And I've also gotten a lot of Warren Wilson family through the line, because people assume just because you work at a college that you're well off. And most of us at Warren Wilson are not. So yeah, thanks everyone. And I'm just really grateful that, just like everybody else on this call said, that not only did I get people to Bounty and Soul, but that I found it for myself. Thank you.
Well, that is a beautiful note to end on. And I think you hit, for myself, again, I'm not going to go into my whole story with Bounty and Soul and in my involvement, but I can definitely attest to, I think for a lot of people, that something about the work that Bounty and Soul does, the impact is so strong for everyone that it does take it it makes you put a really strong lens on your own life and kind of what you're doing with your time. And I can't even tell you how many stories I have of people I know that could say the exact same thing as what you just said. And so for those of you that are watching, if you want to get involved, maybe not have a midlife crisis question of your life, and maybe you do want that. No, we want all of you to please get involved in whatever way feels right for you. And we really appreciate you joining us this evening as we speak with all of these amazing individuals that do just incredible work every single day to better the lives of thousands in our community and just to better our community in general. So again, I put in the chat what our website is for you now to visit, to sign up and get involved. I've also plugged in Carla's email. I apologize, Carla. For you
Send them, bring it.
to blow her email up in all the ways that you want to get connected with us. Thank you from everybody at Bounty and Soul for taking this time, and thank you to all of our panelists for contributing your voice this evening. So
Thank you.
have a great evening.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.